All right, thank you so much. I'm going to begin by sharing my screen. So just give me 1 second here. Okay, I'm hoping everybody can see my beginning slide okay. Okay. And before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to encourage you to connect with the land that you're on, that you're currently standing on, and reflect on who the original occupants were. As for the Ontario College of Teachers, we are located in downtown Toronto. So Toronto itself is a word that originates from the Mohawk word takaranto, meaning the place in the water where the trees are standing. Takaranto and the Ontario College of Teachers are in the dish with one spoon territory. The dish with one spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. The dish, or sometimes it is called the bowl, represents what is now Southern Ontario. We all eat out of the dish, all of us that share this territory with only one spoon. That means that we have to share the responsibility of ensuring the dish is never empty, which includes taking care of the land and the creatures that we share with it. Importantly, there are no knives at the table, representing that we must keep the peace. We express our sincere gratitude for sharing these lands for our mutual benefit. So thank you so much for taking a moment. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan Reyes. I am an External Relations Officer at the Ontario College of Teachers. Joining me this afternoon is my colleague, Debbie. And maybe, Debbie, I'll just ask you to unmute yourself and just to say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. My name is Debbie, and I work in client services at the Ontario College of Teachers. And I'm very excited to meet you all today or speak to you all today about our process. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Debbie. I just want to make sure everybody is seeing the screen and everything, because I just see some Q&As here, people that cannot see anything. I just want to make sure that people are seeing the slides okay before I continue. Okay, thank you, Eric. I did see that. Eric has said yes, as well as a few others. All right, thank you so much. So I'll continue. So as I said, my name is Ryan Reyes. I'm an External Relations Officer at the Ontario College of Teachers. I've been with the college for about 1.5 years, but have been working in education for the last 15 years, having worked previously at a school board in their communications department. So I've seen firsthand the amazing impact that teachers have in the lives of students. And I also have 2 little ones of my own. I have one in grade 3 and one in grade 6. Who last week, I just met their teachers at the school information night. So it's a lot of excitement around in this household with the beginning of school and meeting the teachers. So it's an amazing, exciting time. And I hope to transfer some of that excitement over to you as we present today on the Ontario College of Teachers. So it is a webinar, so you will remain muted throughout the presentation. However, we would like to interact with you, so please do interact with us using the Q&A tab. I'm going to be asking you some questions, might have some pop quizzes here and there that might pop up. So I will prompt you to use the chat, the Q&A, to enter your comments and questions as well. We will make time for a Q&A portion at the end of the presentation. We do ask that you put your questions in the Q&A tab, and we will do our best to answer as many as we can as possible. If for some reason we're not able to get to all the questions within the time we have allotted, we will provide you with our contact information at the end of the presentation so that you have that and can be in touch with our client services team to answer any questions that you may not have had time to ask. So that being said, today we're going to introduce you to the concepts of self-regulation and what it means to be a professional. We're going to introduce you to the ethical and practice standards. We're going to share some resources that are available to you, provide additional information on the role of the college and its specific responsibilities, and provide you with a very brief introduction on the registration process. So now let's begin with self-regulation and what it means to be a member of a self-regulated profession. So self-regulation of professions has a long history in Ontario. So for example, the Law Society of Ontario formerly known as the Law Society of Upper Canada, was established in 1797. So that actually predates Confederation. So when the Ontario College of Teachers was established by the provincial government in 1996, following the Royal Commission on Learning report, teachers joined a long list of other professions that were self-regulated. So there's approximately 40 professions in Ontario that are self-regulated. So using the Q&A, can anybody share what are some examples of some other self-regulated professions other than teachers? Using the Q&A, if you want to enter your answers into there. Okay, so I see engineering, nursing, law, doctors, construction workers, nurses, pharmacists, police officers, health professionals. Okay, a lot of answers coming through. Social workers, nursing again, healthcare. So a lot in the healthcare profession. Awesome. Thank you so much for your interaction. So those are all great examples. So as I said, there's approximately 40 professions in Ontario that are self-regulated, and all of them have a duty to operate in the public interests. So what exactly does that mean? To self-regulate is a privilege, and what it means is that the government is saying publicly that it has faith and confidence that the profession can indeed regulate itself in the public's interests. So self-regulation recognizes the maturity of a profession by honoring the special skills, knowledge, and experience a profession possesses, and acknowledges members of the profession are capable of using these special skills and knowledge to regulate the profession in the public interest. So Ontario and Saskatchewan are the only jurisdictions in Canada where the profession regulates itself. So that's not to say that teaching is not regulated elsewhere across the country, but only that the regulation is done by someone other than the profession itself. So in most cases, that would be the government. And it is a privilege that can be taken away if the profession is not seen to be operating in the public interest. Regulators like the college play an important role in public service, and the public interest must always prevail over the interests of any one particular member or group of members. So that is part of what it means to be a responsible, accountable professional. In terms of governance, the college is governed by a 12-member council composed of equal parts certified teachers in good standing and members of the public. So the council is responsible for setting the strategic objectives of the college in order to achieve its statutory mandate. So the council develops and approves policies that regulate the teaching profession. So if you are looking for more information about the council, including who are the members of the council, you can visit our website. And let me just share my screen here to go to the website. So if you go to about the college, our website is www.oct.ca. If you go to about the college, you can see council, and you can click on council members, and that will provide you with the full list of council members that we have. And then you can access also meeting information as part of that as well. So any meetings that we have, they are open to the public. Right now, they're being conducted virtually, but all members of the public are invited to attend. Again, in the interest of transparency, we do make all of our council meetings available and open to the public. Okay, so going back, now we're gonna, before we dig into what the college responsibilities are, I wanted to share with you a resource that we make available on our website called Who Does What in Education. So I will be providing you with a copy of the PowerPoint slides of this presentation, and it will be embedded with all the hyperlinks that you need that I'm speaking of. So you'll get that after the presentation. So this publication that you see on your screen here is a brochure that we produce called Who Does What in Education. It is available for download on our website, and it is a great resource that you can use for yourself or maybe have in your classroom once you're teaching to share with students and families to learn about who does what in education. So there are many organizations involved in education in Ontario. And regardless what the core mandate is, they all work together to create a safe and welcoming place where our more than 2 million students across Ontario can learn and grow. So let's go over the responsibilities of some of the major players. So the first one, I'm going to get you again to try to interact in the chat, in the Q&A, my apologies. So who is this player in education? So they are responsible. They are a government agency that is responsible for contributing to the quality and accountability of the province's K-12 education system. They provide funding to school boards based on the provincial funding formula, and they also are responsible for EQAO. So who would this government agency be? Any guesses? And please put your guesses in the Q&A. All right, so government, so yes, government, but Ministry of Education, that is correct. So it is the provincial government, but more specifically, the Ministry of Education. So thank you so much for all of your responses there. So the Ministry of Education is responsible for overseeing all aspects of Ontario's public education system. They're responsible for policy, for funding, for curriculum planning and direction of public education at both the elementary and secondary levels. They also determine the provincial standards for student achievement, and they're responsible for both public and separate school boards across the province, but not in their daily operations. Rather, they regulate the organizations of schools and school boards. The ministry is also responsible for legislation for the Ontario College of Teachers. So they would determine what our mandate and responsibilities are through the Ontario College of Teachers Act. The next player we have in education are the district school boards. So the school boards operate the province's publicly funded schools and administer the funding they receive from the province for their schools. So the school boards would determine the size and location of their schools. They would build, equip, and furnish them. They supervise the operation of schools and their teaching programs. And they hire Ontario certified teachers and supervise the completion of their performance appraisals. So in terms of school boards across the province, so knowing that there are English schools, there are Catholic schools, and there are French schools, can anybody guess how many school boards we have across the province? And without using Google, can you enter your answers in the Q&A? How many school boards do you think there are across the province? And sorry, I do see some people asking, they can't see the Q&As. So unfortunately, the way it works in the Q&As is you won't see other people's questions. It's only for the panelists and the moderators to see. So that's why you're not seeing those. Okay, so let's get to the answers here, and they're coming in fast and furious. 47, 52, 132, 60, 10. Okay, some of you are way too low. Some of you are way too high. I'm just going to scroll through quickly to see if we've got an answer yet. Okay, I believe it is Madeline who got it with 72. So we have 72 school boards across the province. So thank you so much for that answer, Madeline. So of the 72, there are 60 English and 12 French. So that is, thank you so much for that interaction. So the next stakeholder in education we want to talk about are the teacher federations. So the teacher federations advocate for teachers, and they bargain collectively with both the government and the district school boards to set teachers' remuneration and working conditions. And they also act for members in grievances and disputes with employers. So there are four major unions and federations across the province, representing teachers across the province. Can anyone name these four teacher union federations? Again, using the Q&A, what are the four main teacher unions and federations? So let's see, we have ETFO, which is for Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario. CUPE represents some other education workers, but not specifically teachers. OSSTF, thank you, Anna, that is for the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation. Let's see, so Ontario Federation of Teachers, so OT, so that's actually Ontario Teachers Federation is the overarching federation representing all teachers across the province. So thank you for that, Kylie. OECTA, thank you, Austin. So that is for the Catholic teachers. So I'm just seeing here, scrolling through, there is one more. We've got ETFO, OSSTF, OECTA. And then I'm just seeing if anybody got the last one. Okay, so Faze, sorry, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name correctly. My apologies if I'm not, but got the French one, AEFO. So they represent French teachers across the province. So thank you so much, everyone, for your interactions. So those are the four major players in terms of teacher federations: ETFO, elementary teachers, OSSTF, secondary teachers, OECTA for Catholic teachers, and AEFO for the French teachers. So now we will jump into what does the college do? So the college's responsibilities are set out in legislation, as mentioned, by the Ministry of Education, and they include setting the requirements for entry into teaching and issuing licenses. We also set the ethical and practice standards for the profession. We accredit teacher education programs. And last, we investigate and resolve complaints brought against members. So to maintain the public's confidence in the teaching profession, the college commits to openness and transparency when carrying out its mandate. So let's delve a little more into detail on these responsibilities. Okay, so now I got a little quiz for you here, a true and false question. So I'll take the time to read it out before you start responding in the Q&A. Find a Teacher is the public registry on the college website where one can find any teacher who has been certified to teach in Ontario's publicly funded schools and review their employment history. So true or false, Find a Teacher is the public registry on the college website where one can find any teacher who has been certified to teach in Ontario's publicly funded schools and review their employment history. So let me just take a quick look in the chat here to see what your responses are. I'm getting predominantly trues here. Let me just see any false. Okay, I got one false so far, but mostly true. Okay, a couple of falses are popping up as well. Okay, all right, so let's see which of you are right and which of you are wrong. So we'll move to the next and we'll share some information about the registry. So this is a screenshot, but I'm actually over to our website so you can see where you can find this information. So let me move over to our website. Again, the website is Ontario OCT.ca. So one of the ways members of the public can be confident in teachers' professionalism is to view their individual qualifications through the college's Find a Teacher section on our website. So as you'll see here on our main page in this yellow box here, there is the Find a Teacher function. And this functionality is embedded on every single page of our website to make it easy for the public to find. So for the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to look up our interim registrar's record. So her name is Chantal Belil. You can always search by using their name or their college registration number. So I will just enter her number there and click on find, and her profile here will come up. Oh, sorry, let me make sure I'm sharing that properly. Okay, are you still seeing the website page? I just want to make sure that you're able to see that.
Yes, I can see the website, Ryan.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Great. Cool.
Okay, so you can see, so on the website page, I'm sorry, let me just make sure I can see it properly. It's not showing for me, so that's why I was a little worried. So let me just move over to that 1 second. Okay, so on her page, on the profile for Chantal, you can see the date Chantal was first certified and that her status with the college is in good standing. So that's what you see up here at the top. You'll see these little eye icons throughout the page. If you click on that, it provides a definition of what this status means. So good standing signifies that the member has registered with the college, paid the annual membership fee, and has been issued a certificate valid for that calendar year. The member is authorized to teach in publicly funded schools in Ontario while maintaining good standing. So again, this is in the interest of transparency and accountability. We do try to make it as easy as possible for members of the public to understand what this information means. So throughout this page, you'll see little eye icons where you can get additional information on all of these different definitions. So that's what you see there, her membership status. You can also see what post-secondary degree Chantal has completed and her basic qualifications. So you're all earning your initial basic qualifications in your teacher education program. For example, qualifications to teach in the primary or junior divisions, or specific subject qualifications that are taught in the intermediate senior divisions like math or English. So as we scroll down here after the teaching qualifications, you'll see additional qualifications here. So after you complete your teacher education program and are registered with the college, you'll be able to complete additional qualification courses. So for example, if you're initially certified to teach in the primary junior divisions and you'd like to teach in the intermediate division, you can complete an additional basic qualification in the subject taught at that level. So across the province, there are numerous programs available to help members expand their knowledge, enhance their classroom skills, and prepare for career changes. So just beneath the additional qualifications, you'll see supplementary information, and you'll see it says sexual abuse prevention program completed. So I'm going to talk about the sexual abuse prevention program a little bit later in the presentation. So the last piece of information you see here is Chantal's status history. So this section indicates the types of certificates held by a member throughout their career and whether or not their status with the college has changed. So for Chantal, you'll see two different certificates here. So the Ontario Teacher Certificate that was issued to her on June 30th, 1992. So prior to the college being established, it was the Ministry of Education that was providing teacher certificates. So that's what you see here that Chantal has in June 1992. And then once the college came into being, she received her certificate of qualification and registration with the college as of May 20th, 1997. Okay, so let's go back to the Q&A. So some of you indicated already in the Q&A that false, that it didn't include employment history. So that would be correct. So it's a little bit of a trick question. You can find every teacher as well as their individual information with the exception of their employment history. So it's important to know that a personal and employment information is not listed on the public registry. So that information would not be in the public's interest to know. All of the rest of the information that's available here is in the public's interest to know. So just wanted to get your feedback. I want you to reflect on the importance of having a public registry and the information that it provides as I kind of walked you through. So why, in your opinion, why is the public registry valuable? Like, is it valuable? And who does it serve and benefit? So using the chat, so what would be the purpose of a public registry and who would it serve and benefit? So using the chat, put in some of your answers. Okay, so I see here, so for parents and students, for people hiring teachers, parents and people in the community, would allow for transparency for schooling for candidates, provides comfort to parents knowing the teachers are in good standing. So thank you for that, Jesse. So I'm not going to lie, when I found out who the names of my kids' teachers were, I did look them up on the college registry. So yes, it is obvious a very, very important thing for the public, parents to know. Teachers are in good standing and have the qualifications needed to be teaching their students. And for those of you who said for employers, so school boards, yes, we do know that employers do check qualifications for candidates who have applied to teaching jobs, and they do access this information through the college website just to check their background and to make sure that teachers are qualified and have all the experience that they need for the job that they're applying for. So thank you so much for engaging in that. So that's great. So before we leave the registry page, I did want to point you to the top here after Chantal's name, the three letters after, say OCT. So you think OCT stands for Ontario College of Teachers. It does, but it also stands for Ontario Certified Teacher. And that is the professional designation that members of the college may use when they are certified and in good standing. So the designation is a statement of accountability that as a teaching professional, you are licensed and found to be in good standing by the Ontario College of Teachers. You possess a distinct knowledge base and skill set, that you engage in professional learning throughout your career, and that you belong to a community of highly educated, responsible, and caring practitioners. So the use of a professional designation helps the public identify you and know that you are indeed a member of a profession. So doctors and nurses are identified immediately as professionals by the public when they use MD or RN. These professional designations have been in place for much longer than the designation for Ontario certified teachers. But the more teachers who use the designation, the more the public will understand that teachers are indeed professionals who are committed to the growth and development of Ontario students. So before we get to the ethical standards and standards of practice, I wanted to ask you a question. So thinking about instances in your own lives when you've interacted with a professional, so any professional, what were your expectations of that professional? So if you want, use the Q&A, please enter some of your answers. So thinking about instances in your own lives when you've interacted with a professional, what were your expectations of that professional? And I'm going to just turn to the chat and see some of the answers that have come in. Okay, so I see here, be respectful and compassionate, knowledge in the profession, to be treated with kindness and respect, clear communication skills, honesty and transparency, to be knowledgeable and experienced, impartiality, friendly, maintain professionalism, respect, and display thorough and detailed knowledge, professional language, knowledgeable, educated, respectful, dedicated. Okay, a lot of recurring themes here. To be a good role model for children, knowledgeable, trustworthy, dress nicely. Thank you for that one, Bridget. Considerable, knowledgeable, timely, responsible. Awesome, awesome, responsive, respectful. Again, is coming up over and over again. I should not forget that they are professional when I speak with them. Okay, thank you so much for all of these amazing qualities that you look for in professional, and that actually ties quite nicely into the next section. So I'm going to switch back over to the PowerPoint. So that brings us to the ethical standards and standards of practice. So many of the characteristics that you shared in the Q&A actually are shown here or tied to our ethical standards. So these standards convey a collective vision of professionalism that guides the daily practice of Ontario certified teachers. So consider these ethical standards as a roadmap guiding your decisions and actions in your professional role and relationships. So the four ethical standards: care, respect, trust, and integrity. These establish the core ethics of teaching. And they promote public trust and confidence in the teaching and members of the profession. So usually at this point, I would show you a video. So unfortunately, we can't show the video today. However, I will make a plug for our YouTube channel. So the video on the ethical standards, as well as on the standards of practice, those two videos are available on our YouTube channel, and we constantly produce content and upload it onto our YouTube channel. We will provide you with the links for those, and we'll provide it to you through the presentation as well. So watch out for those links and encourage you to subscribe to keep up to date with all of our videos. So the standards of practice for the teaching profession, they provide a framework of principles that describe the knowledge, skills, and values inherent to the teaching profession. So as you see in the screen, ongoing professional learning, commitment to students and student learning, professional knowledge, professional practice, and leadership in learning communities. So these convey to the public the commitment that college members make to students, the teaching profession, and society. These standards articulate the goals and aspirations of the profession. Okay, so next, I wanted to share with you some of the advice and resources that are available to you. So in addition to the ethical standards and standards of practice, the college also provides guidance to members in the form of what we call professional advisories. So professional advisories are intended to inform professional judgment and practice, and they apply to all Ontario certified teachers. So that includes teachers, consultants, vice principals, principals, supervisory officers, directors of education, those working in non-school board positions, college members in private and independent schools, and in those in positions requiring a certificate of qualification. So as you can see, it's not just for teachers. So I am going to navigate over to our website where you can find the information on all our professional advisories. So again, from the homepage, oct.ca, Under members, you'll see here a link to professional advisories. So if we click on professional advisories, it'll bring up all of the professional advisories that we have. So just going through very quickly, we have a professional advisory on additional qualifications. We have one on duty to report. We have one on maintaining professionalism through the use of electronic communication and social media. We have our latest advisory, which is the advisory on anti-Black racism. We also have an advisory on professional boundaries, as well as one on professional misconduct of a sexual nature, responding to the bullying of students, safety and learning environments, and supporting students' mental health. So when you have a moment, do encourage you to check out all of these resources that are available to you. We will be presenting to you again in the fall of the second year of your program to go a little bit more in depth in some of these professional advisors and provide you with more advice. But we'll just like to take a moment. Let me click on the advisory for anti-Black racism just to show you an example of the different formats that the advisory is provided to you in. So we do have it available in PDF format, in audio format, as well as video. And for some of our more recent advisories, including this one and the one on professional boundaries, we also hosted webinars where we brought in subject experts on the specific topic. So for this one in particular, we had Emerald Saunders Ndah, who is the lead writer on the professional advisory on anti-Black racism. So she joined us for a webinar, and we also had students from the Toronto District School Board who identify as Black, who shared their lived experiences dealing with anti-Black racism in their schools. So it was a very, very powerful webinar. And again, it is available, the video of the webinar in its entirety is available here on our website through the advisories page, or as well as on our YouTube channel. So I do encourage you, when you have a moment, to take advantage of all these resources that are available to you. But as mentioned, we will get into more detail on them with the advice on the advisories when we present to you in the next time. So getting back, we will now move on to the next responsibility of the college. So that's accreditation. So the ethical standards and the standards of practice are an important element used by the college during the accreditation process. So the college accredits both the programs that lead to initial teacher certification, as well as the additional qualification courses that teachers take during their career. So only programs that meet appropriate teaching and learning standards are accredited. Accreditation is a public stamp of approval. Candidates know that they can count on learning the professional knowledge and practices necessary to be well prepared to teach in Ontario. But accreditation is not a one-time process. Faculty programs are reviewed every 5 to 7 years. So when a faculty is up for re-accreditation, we seek feedback from our members and the public. So programs graduates feedback is especially valuable. So you can actually sign up to be notified when a particular faculty is up for accreditation. So we encourage all teacher candidates, if they have time, to sign up on our website to be notified when a faculty is up for accreditation. And then you would have the opportunity to participate in a discussion group or provide feedback on the program and share your experience. So I encourage all of you to do that. And again, I'll provide you to a link to that through the presentation slides. So next, we're going to talk about complaints. So if members engage in conduct that appears to breach the standards established for conduct, they can find themselves faced with a complaint being brought against them citing professional misconduct. So as we mentioned earlier, the college is responsible for hearing, investigating, and resolving complaints about the college members related to professional misconduct, incapacity, and incompetence. So if a complaint has been investigated and is referred to the discipline committee, a 3-member panel of members of the public and the profession hears and decides the case. So as part of our commitment to openness and transparency, all disciplinary hearings are generally open to the public. So cases that are referred to the Fitness to Practice Committee generally are closed to the public, as the committee hears and determines matters related to the alleged incapacity of members. So these cases could include personal and medical records as they relate to a member's physical or mental incapacity, making them unfit to carry out their professional responsibilities. So for these particular cases where we're talking about sensitive personal and medical records, those would not be open for the public to listen to. So it's important to understand that members accused of professional misconduct have a right to procedural fairness, including the right to answer and defend themselves, and so are presumed innocent until proven otherwise. So as I close off this section, I just wanted to leave you with one last thought. By proportion, the number of disciplinary hearings is quite low. So we have about 234,000 active members, and on average, about 120 members face a public hearing in any given year. So that's 120 out of 234,000. So that just goes to show you that most teachers are responsible, caring practitioners who abide by the ethical standards set out for the profession. Next, I've got another little pop quiz for you. So another true and false, and I'll read it out again. So teachers are always on duty. Just as doctors, lawyers, nurses, engineers, and other professionals are bound by certain standards of conduct, so too are teachers who are expected to be professionals 24/7. So again, true or false, if you put your answer in the Q&A. Teachers are always on duty, just as doctors, lawyers, nurses, engineers, and other professionals are bound by certain standards of conduct. So too are teachers who are expected to be professionals 24/7. And I see the Q&A lighting up, so let me move over to there and see what the responses are like. Okay, many, many truths here I'm seeing. And Davis says, true, teachers are bound by standards of conduct all times. Awesome, thank you so much. So there was no trick to that one. The answer is true. So although there is a distinction in the law between on-duty and off-duty conduct, both can amount to professional misconduct. So we know that teachers are individuals that have private lives. However, teaching is a public profession, and even the Supreme Court of Canada has ruled that teachers are expected to be positive role models in and out of the classroom. So the Supreme Court of Canada has said that teachers do not necessarily check their teaching hats at the schoolyard gate and may be perceived to be wearing their teaching hats even when off duty. So always use good professional judgment. If you're unsure about whether an action is appropriate or not, wait and seek further advice from your colleagues, your employer, and your federation or members association. So all those different players in education who I talked about, including the Ontario College of Teachers, we are all there to support you and guide you in your practice. So do tap into these resources available to you, whether it be the college, whether it be your school board, your employer, your colleagues, or your federation. All of us are here to support you in your journey and in your profession. So always take the time to pause, reflect, and ask yourself before taking any action. Ask yourself, would this action bring disrepute to myself as a teacher or the profession as a whole? The bottom line is that off-duty conduct matters, and sound judgment and due care must be exercised even when teachers are not on the job. Basically, it boils down to the public's trust and confidence in members of the profession. So in order to teach in Ontario's publicly funded schools, a teacher must be certified by the Ontario College of Teachers. Certified teachers pay an annual membership fee, that's $170 a year, to maintain their membership and certification. And although we're going to present to you again during the fall of your second year and provide you with very specific tips on applying, I wanted to provide you with a brief introduction on the application process and show you where to get more information. So before you begin your online application, you should read through the registration guide available on our website. So actually, let me navigate over to there so you can see exactly where you can find this information. So again, from the top, if we go to becoming a teacher and apply now, and you scroll down on this page, it'll provide you with all the information you need to how to apply. And the apply now button is not until you scroll to the very bottom, see it right there. And that's done purposely because there is information that we want you to read through prior to begin your application process. So I said the main thing you should do is read through the guide. So I'll click on the main guide here just to show you what that looks like. So here's the registration guide. So requirements for becoming a teacher of general education in Ontario, including multi-session programs. So our registration guides contain the current requirements for certification, and those requirements can change without notice. So it's very important that you read through the registration guide on our website to get the latest information. So one of my colleagues likens it to putting together IKEA furniture. So chances are some of you may have put together IKEA furniture. And if you don't take the time to read through the instructions, more or less at the end of it, you may be left over with a part that's not in the right place or extra spare parts that you don't know what to do with. So it's the same thing when you're registering for the college. You need to read the registration guide to find out all the details you need to know for your application, so that it will make your application process that much smoother. So please make sure to read through the registration guide. And it doesn't hurt, even though you're still in your first year, it doesn't hurt to read through now from this point to become familiar with all the requirements. When the time comes to apply, that you have all that information, you're ready to go. So when you begin your online application, you'll be asked for personal information, including your full name, your current and all your previous names, your address, and other information to establish your identity. You'll also be asked for general information and details about your teacher education program. You'll be asked for teachers about your academic or technological qualifications, and details of any previous teacher certification or teaching experience you might have. So generally speaking, it can take approximately 30 business days to process an application once we have received all of the required documents. So this applies to all Ontario applicants, including those for the temporary certificates, transitional certificates, and certificates of qualification. Again, I just wanted to provide you with this information at this point, just so that when the time comes, you have a better understanding of all the requirements for certification. So I just now wanted to touch upon the sexual abuse prevention program. So to be certified, applicants must complete this mandatory program. So in partnership with the Canadian Centre for Child Protection, the college has developed an online sexual abuse training program for all teachers. The training is geared to increase awareness about child sexual abuse and help you learn about how you can safeguard children and recognize and respond to the signs of sexual abuse, with the overall goal of reducing the risk of child sexual abuse occurring. And it's also meant to help build capacity within communities to protect children from sexual victimization. So this was legislated by the government, and successful completion of the program is a requirement for certification. It is a one-time training that you can complete at no cost, and it requires a score of 80% on the assessment in order to be successful. And as you saw on Chantal's registry page, it is noted on on your certificate as well as the registry that you have completed the program. So again, it's an online program. No cost. You can take it online, and it takes about 3 hours to complete. There's a series of modules that you have to go through, and you don't have to do it all in one sitting. You can go in, begin the training, and save your progress, and then go back and complete it when you're able to. So that, again, is a requirement for certification, and you would have access to that once you submit your application and pay your fees, and you would have the access to the program through your document status page. So before we end off, do want to share information about college scholarships. So the college recognizes excellence in teacher education through the awarding of scholarships. So you need to have achieved outstanding academic success in your undergraduate studies while demonstrating a high level of preparedness for teacher education. So we have 4 scholarships offered at $1,500 each. The first is the Joseph W. Atkinson Scholarship for Excellence in Teacher Education. We also have the Ontario College of Teachers Primary Junior or Junior Intermediate Scholarship. Third, we have the Ontario College of Teachers Intermediate and Senior Scholarship. And last, we have the Brian P. McGowan Scholarship for Resilience. So the application period for our scholarships opens up in January or February every year and closes in the summer. So for more information, we do encourage you to visit our website, where we have additional information as well as specific eligibility criteria for each of the 4 scholarships available. So all of them have very different criteria. When we do open the scholarship application process, we will contact the faculties of education to make them aware, so that they can share the information with you and whether you're eligible or not. And we have a few different ways for you to do that on our website through different eligibility quizzes and things like that. So stay tuned for that information, which will be coming your way to the faculties once we open up in the new year. But we do encourage you to visit the website for full details. So that is all the information we had to share with you this afternoon. Before we get to questions, I did want to put our contact information There is our phone number. Our client services team is available Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m. We are experiencing a high volume of calls right now. So we have heard feedback from members and applicants that it is difficult to get through. We have put resources towards our client services team to help alleviate that. But they are there to support you with any other questions you might have that you might not have for us during this presentation. So you reach them by phone, via email at info@oct.ca, again, from Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m. And this slide will be available in the slide presentation slides that I provide you after the presentation. So you will have this information. So now at this point, we'll open it up for questions. Now I know we've been using the Q&A for everything. So it is quite, at least from our perspective, we're seeing I think there's 521 Q&As in there. So my apologies if you did ask a question earlier on in the presentation, but we will try to answer some questions now. So Debbie and I will try to go through here and answer some questions that you might have. So if you wouldn't mind, if you do have any questions, please enter them now into the Q&A and we'll do our best to answer them.
Thanks, Ryan.
Okay, so Debbie, maybe I'll just read out some of the questions that are coming in, and then if you can help with some answers, that would be great.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, so the first one, so do you apply to the college before applying to a board, or do you apply to the board through the college?
Okay, that's a good question. Basically, some boards will require you to be a member in good standing before they'll consider you as an, before they'll consider your application. Other boards will want you to be a member in good standing. But generally what you're doing is you definitely would be applying to us for a license to teach. And you can apply for jobs, as I mentioned, at the same time, if you like. Some boards may consider it. Other boards might say that you need to be a member in good standing before they can consider your application.
Great, thank you, Debbie. Next question, what is the earliest date we can submit our application to the college? Is it sometime during our second year?
That would be fine, yeah, for sure. You could do it in your second year, you could do it halfway through your whole course. That's fine. Just put in your application as early as you can and start submitting all your documents.
Great, thank you, Debbie. And then there's never any risk to starting your application early. In fact, we encourage people to begin the application process, enter your personal information so that you've gotten started already. So there's no harm in doing it early, but as Debbie said, the timing of that sometime during the second year is fine as well.
That's right.
Okay, let's see here. And there's a couple other questions that have asked similar things. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to scroll through. Okay, so if someone leaves the profession and later decides to come back, do they need to pay the annual fee, or are there other steps required to recertify?
That's an excellent question. So keep in mind, it depends on what type of certificate you have. So if someone, let's see, so if someone leaves the profession and later decides to come back, do they just need to pay the annual fee, or are there other steps required? So keep in mind, it depends on the type of certificate you have and whether you have conditions on your certificate. And if you have conditions on your certificate, there is an expiry date. So we would always mention to someone, if you're thinking of leaving the profession, call client services and double check the type of certificate you have. And if somebody does have a certificate that has an expiry date, then they would need to reapply. First, they need to finish the condition first that's on their certificate, then reapply and pay, have all their supporting documents sent in order to be certified again. And I know that sounds confusing. In some cases, they might not have any conditions on their certificate. They might have a permanent certificate, and all they would need to do to reinstate their certificate, if they do go, is just to pay the annual membership fee and the reinstatement fee. So in terms of people leaving the profession, people leave the profession all the time, or they leave Ontario and they come back. So just before you do anything like that, just call client services and just double check with the type of certificate you have, what your steps would be. And as I mentioned, it all depends on whether you have a certificate that has an expiry date and conditions. If it does, then there's certain steps. If it doesn't, then it's just easy to reinstate. You pay the reinstatement fee and the annual membership fee, and you'd be back as a member in good standing. Keeping in mind, the annual fee is always per calendar year. So if you were to reinstate, let's say in July of a particular year, your annual membership fee only covers you to the end of the year. And then the following year, you'd have to pay the reinstatement fee. I mean, in the following year, you'd have to pay the annual membership fee again.
Great, thank you so much, Debbie. So the next question, is OCT certification recognized in the United States?
Okay, so the Ontario College of Teachers just certifies teachers in Ontario. So we're not, if you're looking to be certified in another jurisdiction, like the United States, we would not be recognized in the United States. Like you'd have to apply for certification in that particular jurisdiction that you're in. So let's say, for example, you're in Michigan, you would apply for certification with the Michigan licensing body. Now, when you do, I mean, they'll still need something from us to be sent, chances are, but we're not, our certification does not cover the United States. It's just for Ontario.
Great, thank you, Debbie. Okay, so question is, when do we take the sexual abuse prevention program? So as I kind of shared it in the presentation, so that can be taken once you apply to the college, submit your documents and pay your fees, then you will have access to the document status page and would be able to take the sexual abuse prevention program. So it is a requirement for certification. So you will need to do that before getting certified. So Debbie, do you have anything else to add to that?
No, yeah, what you covered was great. Yeah. And if you look under frequently asked questions under general, the tab general, all the questions that you have regarding sexual abuse prevention program will all be there. Like what's the minimum score? How many times can I take it? All of that.
Great, thank you, Debbie. Just scrolling through here, there seems to be some questions that were re-asked again. I'm trying to see here if there's any different ones.
Brian, would I be able to mention one here?
Yep, of course, go ahead.
Someone just asked, what certificates would have an expiry date? Could you give an example? That's a good question. So, for example, if someone didn't meet all the requirements, you are doing an Ontario program that's designed to meet the requirements for Ontario's certification. But for example, if somebody didn't meet all the requirements for certification, then they would have a condition and an expiry date. Usually the expiry dates are 5 years out, and they'd have to meet those conditions within that time frame. Let's see, if somebody were to apply for, let's say, a temporary certificate, that has an expiry date. So a temporary certificate, if it was issued, it would be issued. And if that person was finishing their program, let's say in 2023, they would have to, their certificate would say temporary certificate, and it would have an expiry date of December 31st, 2023. And that would mean that they would need to have their final transcript, teacher education transcript, and the final report from the faculty to say that they successfully finished the program would need to be all processed by that date. So that's a good example of someone in an Ontario program who has an expiry date.
Great, thank you so much. There has been a question about the delays in certification and asking in terms of what are we doing about this. So we have experienced obviously a high volume and longer processing times, but the college is aware of it. And has been putting more resources towards our client services team to alleviate the delay in processing. So obviously we know that some applicants have been having issues, so we acknowledge that, but we are taking steps to rectify that and to improve the situation to ensure processing times are cut down. So we are taking a look at all of our practices and processing to make sure that it's done in a more timely manner. So we are actively working on that. So thank you for that question. Oh, my apologies. I think I stopped sharing the screen there. I know there's a bunch of other questions in there, and unfortunately we're at 2 o'clock now. So unfortunately we won't be able to get to all of them. So I hope we were able to answer most of them for you. Like I said, our client services team is available to answer any other questions that you might have. And we will be providing you with this PowerPoint presentation, so you do have links to all of the various resources. Thank you so much on behalf of Debbie and I for having us this afternoon. We hope we've provided you with some very important information, and we look forward to presenting to you again, or some members of our team to present to you again in year 2. In the meantime, that's it for this afternoon, but thank you so much for having us. And again, thank you so much for choosing this profession. It is very rewarding. It's not easy, of course, but it is very rewarding profession, and you will have a tremendous impact in the lives of students. So thank you again for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you both, Ryan and Debbie, for coming to speak to our students. I'm sure this helped quite a lot.
Awesome. It was our pleasure. Thanks, Rebecca.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rebecca. Okay. Take care, guys. Bye.
Take care, everyone.